Hello out there, and welcome to this part. I forgot which number we've gotten to. 6. We're going to take a look at how to make these diagrams in Astah. I have opened up Astah and it is a completely new project. There's nothing in it. And we want to make an ER diagram, and we want to do it in UML. And you click up here and you create a new diagram. And some of you will see, oh, there's something called ER diagram. That sounds familiar, so let's do that. But this is completely different. It's not UML, and I don't know what it is. So we don't do that. We use a class diagram. There we go. Now, if I were to create a new class or entity or whatever, there's some information that we don't need. For example, I don't need methods. I don't need private public access modifier. I don't need types. Right, so there's some things that I don't want to see. And what we can do instead is I am just going to delete that. I click here and you will see here I have some initial settings. I can click the frame visibility. Maybe you're familiar with this one. Make it, there we go. I don't need it. But under initial visibility, we go in and we say, I don't want the operations compartment. I don't want the attribute and operation visibility kind. That's the plus minus thing. And I don't want the attribute type. That's the string, int, boolean kind of thing. Okay. So that means if I make a new class or entity, you will see that I don't have the methods. And if I can still put in the same information, but it's just hidden. There's no plus minus, there's no type here. So this is what we want to see, or not see. If I forgot to do this and I have half a diagram, and if, oh, I need to remove stuff, there we go. You can still highlight one or more, and you can right click it and you can say stereotype, attribute, visibility, yeah, compartment here, visibility. We click that off and then methods disappear. I can go to extended and we can click visibility kind, the plus minus thing disappear. And finally I can go to extended and I can attribute type. So we can still fix it afterwards, but it's just easier to go and remove this here right away. Okay, so this is how we make an entity. Click something, I call it book. If I want to add attributes, I click the little square, we say ISBN. If I want to make this a primary key, I want to edit it, and at the end I put this as a primary key, enter, yeah, then it's a primary key. If I want a multi-valued attribute, we'll say I'll just call it multi, and I will put in this like that, enter, and there we go. Now if I edit this again, you can see that it automatically sets in the type here and the visibility, but that's hidden. So the multi-value thing here has to go just after the name, unlike this here, because that's a constraint, so it goes after at the end here. You will have to work with that. The derived attribute, derived, just put a slash in front. And then we have the composite attribute, and as I mentioned, there's no, I cannot, if I make spaces here, I call this a comp attribute, you will see that the spaces are gone. So what I need is instead to create some way of inlining my sub attribute, and you can do that the dot dot or underscore or whatever. Sometimes you will see comp attribute dot or something else. So Astah doesn't really support this part, unfortunately. I'll just do a underscore. But then again, you don't really need the composite attributes that much. So that's okay. Just make a few more attributes over here, that's fine. So those are the attributes: the single valued, the multi-valued, the derived, and the composite. And the primary key. If I wanted a partial primary key, I would of course write in a P here Maybe this is the other, I don't know. But let's remove that. Relationships. You can see if I mouse over one of the edges, I have this here, and by default it should be selected with the line. I can click the arrow to get other types. This is your association that you use in the class diagrams, but we want this one. Alternative, you can see up here, I've selected it. I can click from and to. Maybe I want to make it a straight line. If I give it a name over here, you can see I can click it and I can give it a name, reads or whatever. I get a reads, and the reading direction is, if I click this first and then drag it to here, then that's the direction. I can flip it somewhere. Name direction, reverse direction. I can flip it like that. Flip it anyway. Okay. I can put, you can see if I mouse over here, I can put the little star, click that, and I get the default standard multiplicities. I can select this one, and that's fine, and I will click another one, and that's good. And the good thing is, if you do it like that, then if you drag these around, you can see that the multiplicity follows along. So that's nice, because sometimes you might be tempted to use the T up here for some text and say 0 to many, and that sort of looks the same, right? But it's not attached to anything, so now it's just stuck there in empty space, and that can become annoying when you start reorganizing your diagram. So I get the line here. You can see there are different types of lines. So I like the angled one. That's neater, but I could choose straight one. Apparently not. Then it would just be straight. I like the angled ones. Matter of preference. These can be edited. I can just double click it and you can see I can do whatever in here. So now there's a whatever multiplicity on this end, and it's still attached. I can drag this around. The arrow, I don't have control over that. It will sort of say, is the X distance longer than the Y distance, then it will take the X. If it's the other way around, now the Y distance is being longer than this one. Right, so don't have control over that as much as we might want to. All right, then we need relationship attributes. Let's make a new class up here, or entity, but it's a class entity. I have something called entity. Other entity. There we go. And I want to have relationship attributes, right? So I go and find this one here. It's called association class apparently, but this is what we need. I click and I get this class here. I can drag that out and you give it a name, ads perhaps, and you can see that it's also in here. And Astah wants to have both the name here and here, and you have to follow that. So, okay. And then we have one attribute, and we have another relationship attribute like this. And that's nice. You can take a relationship, and you can convert it somewhere. Convert to association class, and then you get this one. So maybe you are doing an iterative approach on your ER model, and at some point you figure out your relationship should have been with these relationship attributes, and you can convert it back again, I believe. Convert to association. Some of this will be lost. Yeah, I didn't have anything, so it goes back in. All right. Then finally we need the complex relationships, the ternary, the n-ary, and that above. Recursive. I can just click back, then it becomes recursive. And if I give it a name, recursive, so this just works like the other types of associations or relationship lines. I can put multiplicities on both ends here. Mouse over, I get the stars. Yeah. So that's that's all good. Let's make these 3. All right. Now the problem is that I don't have that diamond shape thing in Astah, as you saw that we needed for the relationships here. These kind of when it's more than binary. Right, then I need the diamond to bind them together, and I don't have that option in Astah out of the box. So I have my 3 entities, and what I'm going to do is create a new one, and I call it relationship, and I'm going to put a stereotype on it. So if I click it, I go to stereotype, I call it relationship, enter, and you can see that it gets this little thing up here. Then we want to go to tools. Where did I find that? Set icon for stereotype, right? I have a stereotype relationship and I want a specific icon for that. Okay. And let's see, we want to create a stereotype called relationship. There we go. It's a classifier, that's probably good. Okay, and I can click here to find an icon. Some image file that wants to that I can use for this. And I happen to have one already, ternary icon. I open that, and that's a little diamond. Okay. And I can see that if I have a stereotype of relationship, then it should be represented as an icon. I close that, and let's see if I can make this work. No, I want to just select and set icon location on customized icon. Let's see, there we go. Okay, it is huge, like that. Wonderful. And this one, if I make this a space instead, then it's gone. It's a bit of a hack. And I can drag my relationship here, and this one goes here, and this one goes here, and then obviously I would like this to be a little larger. Doesn't really work all that great. Oh. So it's a bit fiddly to work with, and then we can do a little more hack and say, I don't know, I need some kind of name. In case I need some kind of name, I can put it inside here. Okay, so that's the ternary relationship and inary or above. So it's a bit annoying to work with, but this is what we have in Astah. So if I want a new one, and those 3 I want to bind them together, I create this one. Nope, sorry. I have it already now. Should be here. This one. And sorry, that's the dog. Okay, so I have my entity, my class. The name is a space, and again I can say, where did it go? Customized icon, there we go, and then it's huge again. And can I, if I hold down shift, then it will keep the shape, so it still remains sort of a diamond. Okay, there we go. Mouse over that here, drag. Wonderful. Okay, so that should be enough to get you started on Astah. I will just quickly show you the other tool. Okay, so I have my browser open. I go to appsdiagrams.net, see it here, and this one, and it will ask me to either open an existing one or create a new one. I want to create a new one, and we just call it example. And you can pick some of the templates, and then you get some default examples, but it doesn't really matter which one you select. It just provides you with some example setup, and we just want a blank one. That's fine. And create, and then it's set up to save this in Google Drive, so that means that others can get access to that file and open it and collaborate on it. So this is easier to collaborate on diagrams in here than it is in Astah, and I can either pick a folder if I have a folder in my Google Drive, or I will just click yes because that's easier here. And we're thinking, there we go. So this is the app. You can see I have tabs down here. So this one here, if I have multiple diagrams or whatever in my for my project, I have an ER diagram. Maybe I have a class diagram, so I can keep everything into the same file. That's neat. And over here I have all my tools, you might say, my figures. And there's UML here at the bottom. And I can, for example, pick this one. Maybe I can make it a little larger. Didn't really change anything. Well, I don't need both fields and methods, so this one is fine. I can drag that out, and here we have that entity. And I can create my ISBN if I have that, and the other stuff. Title for my book. So this is a book. Right. So this is more a drawing diagram, program app kind of thing. Astah has a bunch of rules that you have to follow, and it's restrictive in that way. But here it's more free, and that can be good, and it can be annoying. So if I highlight that, or select it, and I control drag, then I have another one. Let's say this is my reader, and I can say if I mouse over here, I can drag out a relationship, and you can see by default it has the arrow. I want to change that. I think I go up here, and I have some information, some settings, none. There we go. Okay, so that's a good start. And then I can double click it to put on a name, and let's say reads. So you can see that I just used the larger, smaller than here for the reading direction. I could pick a triangle, but then that is sort of loose because now you can see the reads follows along, and it's slightly less great than Astah is to figure out where to put the relationships. So you'll have to work a little more with that. If I double click here at the end, we say 0 to many. Oh, there we go, and 0 to many at the other end. That's also good. So now these are attached to the relationship line. So if I drag them around, you can see that the multiplicity constraints here follow along. So that's neat and nice. The good thing is here, because of that freedom, you can, for example, just press enter and say sub attribute, sub attribute. So like that. Then we have to drag this out. So it's larger, we can see everything. No, I have to drag this one out perhaps. You'll have to fiddle around and figure out how to work with this. But the point is that you can do the same thing as in Astah. It's online. There's also somewhere that you can download language. No. Well, this is also a desktop app. Cool. And somewhere you can download it and install it on your desktop, so you can work with it even though if there's no internet connection, and you could save the files in your Google Drive, and then it's easier to share. So you might consider using this. It's perfectly fine. Just again, make sure you follow UML notation. I don't want to see any crow's feet or gen notation or whatever. We use UML like this. I think that is all. Thank you for watching.